innovative content, global audience.
Good evening, and you're watching SRTV, and today's show is Today's Legislature, and I'm your girl, Somto Black. In the studio, I have with me Ambassador Theophilus Sani Obaje. He is one of the rising voices in the political and the leadership sphere of Nigeria. When I look at you, I see the renewed hope per se. So today, I would like you to introduce yourself to my audience and tell them what you do. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Ambassador Sani Theophilus Obaje. I'm a 600 level student of Ahmadu Bello University, Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, and I'm the founder of Drive Africa. And at Drive Africa, what we focus on is leadership, innovation, and development. We believe that the Nigerian youth have got everything it takes to lead leadership across every level, and that for whatever we have in Nigeria and in Africa today, we can still make it better. And so our focus is to advocate for leaders from the grassroots, from the university level, from the primary schools, growing leaders that could, be matched together, having to bring like minds together that will change the status quo of what we have in Nigeria and in Africa, driving the change we want through our mass advocacy, through symposiums, through programs, and through every other thing that will, project the Nigerian leaders or project the Nigerian youth to the world and to meet with the global standard as it ought to be. So it's my pleasure being here today.
Wow.
Absolutely.
It's good to have you.
Thank
And
you.
during your introduction, you said something very profound. We believe so much in training the child and amending an adult. So something stood out for me. We are in Africa, and we know that leadership is one of the major problems in the continent of Africa. We have a lot of tyrants, and to be able to manage or rather solve this problem once and for all, we need to intimate the younger ones. So that's what your NGO stands for.
Exactly.
Catching them young and teaching them what leadership is and what leadership is not.
Exactly.
Good to have you once
Thank
again,
you so much.
Ambassador Theophilus Sani
My
Obaje.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Anyway, you look good.
Thank you. You look good too.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Your chair looks good too. It's a pleasure me here.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. All right, we're going to go straight to the point, and today's legislature borders on the current happenings in the National Assembly. So, very quick one, we're going to be looking at the budget presentation to the joint session of the National Assembly. This will be done tomorrow at the National Assembly by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This will be done by 11 a.m. tomorrow. And this is a topical issue and a matter for deliberation. So we want to delve into this thing and know what it's all about. For any other person joining us, we are discussing the budget for 2024. All right. So I'll be asking you some questions, and I'd like you to answer in such a way that anybody out there would understand and get a glimpse of what this is all about. All right, number one, what is your opinion on the proposed budget for the 2024 fiscal year? What's your opinion?
Okay.
Because we know pretty well that it's 1.5 trillion higher than the previous one. So what's your opinion on this?
Okay. So thank you. The 2024 budget is being tagged budget of renewed hope by the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and it's being pegged at 27.5 trillion naira, and this will be presented to the joint session of the National Assembly tomorrow. And I think it's a normal thing, it's a normal process. Whenever it's towards the end of the year, between November to 31st of December, every governor, every president is supposed to present the budget to
The National
the
Assembly.
national, in this case, at the National Assembly, and we have the joint session. And the budget for me is a good one, because if you notice, we've not gotten a breakdown of the budget by the president. This will be done tomorrow after the presentation. But from what we have already in the news, the budget is for 27.5 trillion, and out of this 27.5 trillion, we have 18 trillion being gotten from our revenue. And you want to ask, how possible is this 18 trillion naira? How do you want to get 18 trillion naira to fund the budget? And for me, I think it's possible because you have a president who is a technocrat. He keeps saying he brought Lagos to limelight, he did whatever it is in Lagos and all. Yes, that's very true, and that is why we are hopeful that we can get this 18 trillion naira for the internet-generated revenue to fund the budget. It's possible because you have someone who is a technocrat in every aspect, You have someone who has done this in Lagos, he has done this in some places. So we feel he can replicate
Okay,
this.
please, can you
country
say
in
one of
Nigeria.
the, you say done this, so someone else
Okay,
like,
so for Lagos,
exactly are you talking
for a
about?
state like
Okay.
Lagos, right? Lagos is the fifth largest economy in Africa.
Okay.
From zero to where it is today. And all of this thing started as a structure he laid when he was government. You know, successive government continued with what he has started, and we have what we have today. So I think it's possible you can fund this budget with the 18 trillion naira. And now, from the budget we have again, we are seeing that the oil revenue, we are budgeting seven USD per barrel, and our production will skyrocket to about 1.6 trillion barrels per day. I think this is possible, right? Because now, you know, for a country like Nigeria, currently everyone is passing through a lot. You know, the economy is
Definitely.
down, and
The economy
Nigeria
is
is
shrinking.
It's so bad.
Shrinking.
You know, it's so bad. But for me, I'm looking at the long run.
Okay.
We might be suffering now. We might have these challenges, but at the long run, I think things will get better.
Okay.
Things will get better.
We exist in a society where what we say differs from what we do. So I want us to approach this thing from a very practical point of view. Let's not be overly theoretical about it. So how well do you think will this work at all?
Okay, for me, I'm still hopeful, right? It's called the budget of renewed hope.
Of
And
the
I'm
renewed hope.
renewed hope. So I'm hopeful. I feel we should still give this government enough time. They still have 4 years to prove themselves. This is just 6 months after. You know, they came with the issue of subsidy removal, and Nigeria is passing through a lot now. Nigerians are passing through a lot. Everyone is complaining, but I think it's just a short-term suffering. We can keep complaining for the short term, but let's get the long run. You know, what goals is this government projecting? What are we going to expect in the next 2 to 3 years? Let's get the short suffering, but the long term goals now.
Okay.
The benefits to come for us when the time is due. But let's accept whatever is happening.
Okay.
I know it's not so good.
What you're
but
trying to say in essence is that this is more like our planting season.
exactly,
So we
exactly.
need to lay everything down
Down.
to, you know,
Exactly.
make the necessary
Yes,
sacrifices.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. I believe so much. This is the second question. I also pretty well believe that for you to advance to the nearest future, you must be able to study your history. So let's do a review. Let's take it back. No, the year 2023 is rounding off, and if we had to give a review of how this budget per se was, used, let me use the word for a general man. What do you think? How well can you measure our progress?
Okay, so for me, if you check through the budget of Nigeria, every year it keeps increasing, and
Sure.
it's supposed to be like that because our population is increasing and the cost of things are not just like they used to be again. So yeah, it's obvious. It's normal for it to go up. From what we had for this year, around 21, 22 trillion to 27.5 trillion. That's about 6 to 7 trillion increase,
Yes,
and that's supposed to be. If you check our dollar exchange rate today for this very budget, the dollar is being pegged for 750. To 750 naira to a dollar compared to what we have this year, which is 435 to a dollar. So you see, the dollar is not stable, and so the government needs to plan this budget according to this.
Right.
For 2023, the budget was being planned as so that when it's mid-year of this year, we'll have subsidy being removed, and that was about the same time we had a new government coming in place, and subsidy was removed, and we had all those clamor and everything. The government had a tough time because even the labor union were supposed to go on strike. They've threatened to go on strike for 2-3 times now. But the government has tried their own way to intervene and to make sure everything still works to the work we have today. But trust me, the cost of living has increased. Transportation, everything is on the high.
Everything is on the
Everything is
rise.
on the high now,
Everything is
and
on the rise.
it's not even funny. But I want to believe that these are part of the struggles. These are part of the things we'll face before we get to where we are supposed to go to. I am not giving up on this government yet. It is too early. And I want every Nigerian there to give this government the benefit of doubt. It's just 6 months out of 4 years. So let's give them enough time to prove themselves. Let's see what 2024 has for us. They are starting on the clean ground, right? This is the first time we'll have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu going to the National Assembly to present the budget. This is the first time we'll have the Senate President receiving the President in the National Assembly. It's the first time we'll have the Speaker receiving the President in the National Assembly. So everything is the first time for this person. So let's give them that benefit of doubt. Allow everything play out. January to December next year, we can now review through to say, okay, this is what has happened 2023, this is what has happened in previous years, and this is what is happening now. So we can now have a comparative basis to compare to what it is before and what it is now.
Okay, in other words, so we are all going to keep hope alive. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Keep hope alive.
Okay.
Let's be hopeful. It's called renewed hope. So let's renew our hope. We've lost hope, but we are renewing our hope now, hoping that things will get better, hoping that Nigeria will come back to the limelight. I think the president has been doing so well, if you ask me, because just last week.
You think so?
I think so. To the average Nigerian, you might really not want to say that is true, but I am. Everyone is suffering, everyone is passing through a lot, but that should not be the basis, right?
Okay.
If you check through what he has been doing, he was in Berlin last week, and he had a meeting, he had a conference with some investors who were supposed to come invest in Nigeria. He was trying to woo them, and he made a statement that his name should be in the Guinness Book of Record. And you know, everyone was laughing that, oh, maybe Guinness Book of Record because Nigerians are suffering and all of that. Well, let's hope that his name will be in the Guinness Book of Record, that he has turned Nigeria to something of enviable heights. Let's hope we get to that level. Being a Guinness Book of Record for something good, right? For something positive.
So for future purpose.
For future purpose.
Not like now.
Yes, not like now.
I don't really think
yeah, not like now. It's a subjective opinion.
Okay, yeah.
And it's controversial too.
I think it's where faith comes to play here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Okay. You touched a little bit of it, but I would like you to expatiate or rather elaborate on your point about the projected forecast. It's projected that in the year 2024, Nigeria would be able to generate 18 trillion naira
to
as
fund the
budget.
Yeah.
How realistic do you think this is? Is it just something written on the paper, or no? I believe so much in being real. Like, let's be real here. How realistic do you think this is going to be?
Okay, so for an average Nigerian, this is not possible.
Yeah.
You know, most times things are on paper, but don't get to see them materialize into reality. And also, just like I said earlier, right? Let's give them the benefit of doubt. For me, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a technocrat.
Okay.
He has done this in Lagos.
You said that.
So I am very hopeful he's going to do this.
Okay.
If you check the members of his team, if you check the members of his cabinet, the Federal Executive Council, I think he has the best of hands to work with.
You think so?
I think so.
What makes you say
I think so. Let's look at the caliber of people he has on his team.
Let's be practical.
Okay.
Let's hear you.
Okay. So let's look at the caliber of people he has on his team. Let's look at Mr. Wale Edun, who is the Minister of Finance. And so if you look at Mr. Wale Edun, he has a track record of so much. He has done so much for a state like Lagos, and also having to get him to the national space now. I think he's going to replicate the same thing. His wealth of knowledge and experience in the financial sector.
You know that your performance in the state level is practically very different from what you do in
for a state like Lagos. If you can govern a state like Lagos, trust me, I think you can actually govern Nigeria.
Okay, sure.
Lagos is the fastest growing economy in Africa, and I think it's the best in Nigeria. You can check the GDP of Lagos per capita, check their economy. Everything is just as it's supposed to. Yeah, so if you have a Lagos state working with this government setting up those things, I think you can still have a Nigeria working with that. Nigerians might not want to agree with that, but I still want to be very hopeful. Let's give the government the benefit of doubt. Let's see what happens between January to December next year. Then we can now have something.
So
to
in essence, you're saying that this is a realistic goal.
I think it is realistic. You see, there's no perfection anywhere, right? You cannot get everything 100%. But if you get 70 to 80%, that's already an A. So for me, it's possible, right? 18 trillion naira from revenue, from ministries, from agencies, from departments, from parastatals. If you can generate this revenue from places like that, trust me, I think this will help the country go. Now, let me say something quickly. For a state like Lagos, there was a time they had no allocation coming from the federal government. They depended on their IGR, their internally generated revenue, and they had the best. Even with that, they were still growing. They were still able to pay salaries. They still had to control everything. So you have someone who was the architect of that in Lagos as the president of a country. As at this time, I feel you can still do the same thing. You can still attract investors back to Nigeria, and we can actually grow our IGR to fund the budget. I think it's very possible. I'm hopeful.
It's very, very possible. Okay, we are going to also be getting the public opinion from other Nigerians who would want to speak their mind. I don't know if they are ready, who would want to speak their mind. But as we wait for them to join the session, one more question for you. I want you to throw more light on what's okay when we say we are supposed to keep hope alive, right? Let's keep hope alive. It's renewed hope, whatever. Okay, renewed hope. Let's. So, what are we actually expecting? I know you are not the president, but what if you are to scratch to the minds of every Nigerian? Because the truth is that the economy has shrinked. Let's be very practical here, and we are losing our middle class guys to foreign countries.
The jackpotting, right?
The jackpotting, the
syndrome.
jackpotting. Everybody, you can be having a chat with somebody this afternoon, and tomorrow
You just see the person posting.
you see the person's post. This guy
I'm
is
already out of the country.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I believe if the country was working, nobody would want to leave. You know, T.Y. Bello said we don't have anywhere to run to, but I think it's now like a cliche because everybody is leaving. So what are we? What are our expectations rather?
Okay, so just like I said,
Now we are speaking for for the silent majority. What is that yearning in the heart of every Nigerian? Because if you open the opinion poll, a lot of people are angry, they are frustrated, they are angry. That's why in Nigeria, when a little thing can prick up something because the people are already angry.
so they just need
People are-
something to just
no, no, no.
trigger.
There's an adage that goes this way: even a goat can bite if it has been pushed too far. True. We are at that verge of giving up because I can say for a shorty that Nigerians are very very strong set of people because
They
I
can
know
endure.
They can endure.
They can stretch. To
They
the
can
limit.
stretch.
Yeah.
So
for,
now,
for me,
okay,
I want to be very, very objective now. Based on statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics 2022, Nigeria is multidimensionally poor.
yeah,
It means 61% of Nigerians are poor. Out of the 61%, if you now want to grade it based on where the poverty is coming from, based on localities and all, you get to see that it comes from more from the middle class and an average Nigerian being poor and all. Now, you see, people are suffering. That is very true. Things are not as they used to be. Life is very, very hard. You see frustration on the faces of people. You go out in the morning, you come out in the evening, you see people being frustrated.
toiling.
It's as though people are working and they're not even seeing. Money has no value again.
Transportation is on the rise.
So-
The other day it was on the paper, onion, as low as food. One thing that can, I don't know the right word to use here. Like when you actually know that something has gotten to the people is when they cannot be able to eat.
Yeah,
Is that bad?
Yeah, it's that bad.
Is that
It's
bad?
that bad. It's that bad. And yes, just like I said, Nigeria is multidimensionally poor. Everyone is passing through a lot, and it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate for a country like Nigeria that has got everything it takes to be the best in Africa, to control its
Crazy.
economy, to be the shining light for other countries to learn from. It's very unfortunate. And I do not want to speak as a Nigerian not being empathic. I am very empathic. I am in the system, and I can tell you for sure that people are passing through a lot in Nigeria. The country is not what it's supposed to be. But I want to now go back to the fact that we have a new administration, so let's give them the benefit of doubt. The last administration came, and things went from bad to worse. Things went so bad, and people were just literally living. They cannot even think of what will happen the next day. And we had this administration coming with renewed hope and trying to change the status quo. So that's what I just said. Let's give them the benefit of doubt. A budget is being proposed for tomorrow, and it is at 27.5 trillion. Now, let's see what happens from January to December. Let's see what this government has for us. They inherited a budget from the last administration.
Yeah,
so
sure.
you really cannot use that. So the subsidy was not removed by the president. Let's take note of that. It was already planned to be removed by the middle of this year. And so the president just came to meet that already. And he had nothing that to remove the subsidy. But yes, these are short-term sovereign. But let's look at the long-term, the long-term benefits that will still come to the country. Yeah. So let's give Nigeria the space of 3-5 years and see what happens. But in the economy, let's hope the economy gets better from next year. Let's hope that whatever. Now, remember, 400 billion is what is being used to finance the subsidy every month.
Yeah.
So the 400 billion now, let's hope that it's being used to go back into other things like infrastructure, like health, like education. Nigeria is suffering. I'm a student, and I can tell you that education is becoming so bad in Nigeria. In this current budget, the budget has 10% for education. And what is the UNESCO standard for education? 26% for everybody. We just have 10%, and that's like around 2 trillion. So, it's so bad. And for an average Nigerian now, if you go to the tertiary institutions, students are paying school fees at very exorbitant, rates. Imagine having to pay over 100,000, 150, 170,000, and this is like a 200% increment. Imagine you're paying 40 something thousand or 50 something, and you're not paying over. So it's so bad, and it's crippling everything. Parents are suffering, students are suffering, youth are suffering. Everyone is trying to run away from the country. Yes, there's no place like home, and I believe that our economy will get better. And I'm just hopeful. I have a couple of friends that still want to leave this country, right? They have plans and all of that, but we want to believe that this government has come with their own agenda. They've come with their plans for this country. Let's give them next year, January to December next year. Then we can now, critically review their performance to say, okay, for sure, we have an improvement or things are going worse.
Okay,
so I'm very hopeful.
So let's not judge the book by the cover.
By the cover, yeah. It's so early. It's so early.
Okay, so I don't know whether the guy there is ready. Okay. Are you ready to join us? Okay, because I think this is where we will be drawing the curtain for today's edition. So from all the things we have been able to gather, I would just say, please, let's be hopeful. Let's be hopeful. We do not have any other place to run to. Nigeria is our home. This is the only place we call home. So let's keep our fingers crossed as the president visits the House of Assembly tomorrow to present the budget. All right, and until I come your way, my name is Somto. Bye for now.
Hooray! The next President Show is here again. Are you aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills? Do you have what it takes to be the